This broadcast is inappropriate for all ages, right here on Jam on Toast. This is the Watch Spot, and I am Kamurai here talking about things and stuff I've been watching this past week. It's been a weird week. It's been a very busy week, so I don't think I feel like I haven't got to watch as much as I may have normally been able to, and apparently I've got to wait longer in that delay for YouTube. It's just what it is. Let's sigh. But let's go ahead and get around to it. But I feel like I didn't watch as much, but there's less on. So I feel like this need to fill that gap, and I just renewed, or I got back into Netflix, partly for hashtag We Are Movie Club, because we want to start getting more accessible movies on the podcast there. But yeah, and if you want to know more about that, go ahead and tweet at us at We Are Movie Club on the Twitters. We've got some things going. But yeah, I'm looking at my list, and there's a lot of things that are shoved over to the right, which is how I nominate that there's no episode or it's on hiatus. And then, of course, because of Netflix, Daredevil Season 2 is out, which I highly recommend, but I will get back and talk about that more towards the end of this. I rearranged this just a tiny bit, but you won't be able to see it because all these are empty. Yeah, I kind of bit the bullet and decided to just go ahead and go. So I am behind on a couple shows. Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, Lucifer, Once Upon a Time. So I will talk about those next week, possibly twice. And that'll just be how it is. In past, I probably would have sat there and watched it all and caught up and then done the show. But I just don't have it in me. I might fall asleep before I finish all that tonight. No, Skype. No, how do you ignore things on the computer? Horrible timing. And I don't know who you are, so why would I answer? So New Girl. For whatever... Oh yeah, Cece falls into a job of sorts. So, because she was supposed to do wedding research with Schmidt, Jess steps in to help out. But Schmidt's like sleep deprived, so he sends her out with a GoPro on her head, which is the most ridiculous premise, which they immediately abandoned. I don't understand the premise of doing a joke to abandon it. But they bring it back later for something else, so maybe it was all just a mechanic to get it there. I mean, obviously it comes into play. It was just kind of a weird thing at the time when you're watching it, when you make the experience. When you look at the overall writing process, sure, yeah, it makes sense. But not everyone cares about that. But so while they're doing that, Winston and Nick are playing whose job's harder, a cop or a bar manager. And I think the clear answer is they're different flavors of ice cream. One is not necessarily harder than the other, but they're extremely different. And one is definitely more dangerous, unless you happen to employ like hardened criminals that threaten your life. And then why would you do that to yourself? Or keep them on after that, rather. Because I'm not saying don't give them a chance, but be smart. And of course, spoilers, Jess made out with Smith's dad, which I found fantastic. Because, I don't know, like, I like the whole romantic aspect of things, but like seeing Jess just kind of like horn in on somebody is funny because it usually has some like weird fallout. Because I think the underlying joke of the entire show is that Jess does not have the best judge of character for people. And we didn't address her losing her job at all. At all. And that was the thing I was most looking forward to from the previous episode. So like that's really kind of a weird thing. I don't know why you would do that. For whatever reason, over on Modern Family, they thought it'd be funny if Cam's sister came to stay with Cam and Mitchell. Of course, we're given insight into Mitchell's past between a bonding moment between him and his father over Madonna, or Mitchell singing Madonna to feel better. I'm often lost on that. And then they tried to like make some weird thing about his sister being a bad influence on Lily. Like I don't know why that would be funny or why it would make any sense. Um, Lily seems to be like one of the least impressionable children that you could possibly put on television. Um, let's see. Oh yeah, this Phil Claire decided to do a surprise trip or a spontaneous trip to Paris. Seeing those two sleep deprived is fantastic. If you remember how tired your parents were when you were young enough to give a damn, um, that is fairly impressive right there. Just imagine if they didn't sleep a night. That's kind of what it is. But these are lovable characters, and I don't know how you feel about your parents. So, let's see. I think for whatever reason, Gloria's mad at Jay because he works on this bathroom, and I guess people who don't understand projects and how they work just want things done. Like a lot of people just want the result. That's fine. I don't really see Gloria as like the greedy character. I think the idea is to subvert that expectation, being that she's married to an older rich man. Um, but what can you do? Um, the funny part was that the little kid gets stuck in this tar. I don't know why you're using tar in the bathroom. To do the foundation of the shower slash bath area. I don't know. And of course the kid looked like he was in there doing like snow angels and got stuck. Not I went for a drink of water and I got stuck. Kids are evil like that. They'll make shit up and lie right to your face. It's the truth. Hughes over on the middle joined the Hex on their vacation. It's just really a whole gimmick of the families interfering with each other's parenting strategies. The more interesting storyline was that Axel uh, and Devin may or may not be on a break. I didn't really understand, but Axel's acting as if he's single because he's in a state of flux, essentially. And Devin's an odd character when it comes to that sort of thing because neither of them like to talk about things. So it seems that one of them decides something and then the other one's just kind of confused and upset for a little bit. And it is what it is. So he's trying to hit on girls on vacation, maybe just for fun or practice, I don't know. But he's using Brick to jerk for him, and I thought that was an interesting aspect to see Brick be the asshole and Axel come in as the good guy, because I would say typically it's the other way around. Um, but I'm looking forward to seeing us get over with this spring break nonsense and get Brick back into a natural habitat of sorts. Because he does seem to be a fairly interesting character in the right settings. But they are not these settings that make these other characters super interesting, where you're out and doing new and different things with them. Brick uh, is a viable character in a sterile environment where you change variables bit by bit. Fresh off the boat, there's a chili cook-off, and Jessica's annoying about efficiency, which feels like a racist Chinese humor type thing, which I mean, I don't write the show. I can't do anything about that. But the other one was kind of like a nice family man bonding thing. Um, but I didn't really care much for either one. It's really a show that I question why I watch, but it's somewhat entertaining. The episodes are 20 minutes long. If I was gonna choose to binge watch it for the first time, I probably would have stopped. But because it's 20 minutes while I'm doing something else to help keep me occupied, and occasionally I run into a dry spot, yeah, I fill it up with that, and I could fill it in with other things. Just being honest. Um, Over on the Real O'Neills, this show is getting more and more interesting, but not for any of the reasons that makes it's going to make it an entertaining or successful show. The writing for this is what gets me. I'm over here, stupid. Just come around the screen. Um, it's I don't see where they're going with this. Obviously, we took this perfect American family and we threw them to the chaos of having a gay son, and then realizing that they're all shitty. And then we've got to go forward from there somehow. And the way they've chosen to go through is to fragment and separate the family while still making them support each other. So we've got mom trying to apply for a job and become independent. Uh, which doesn't go that way. That's fine, but everyone thinks she's online dating, so dad's being pressured to date, and he doesn't really want to, because it really seems like he was the happy one out of everybody, but he's also the complacent idiot character. And then Kenny's the one that theoretically should be happy, but he's not. And I really want a better expression of what the writers want out of this character, because if they're going with the perspective of like he had the perfect life but he ruined it by being gay, I don't appreciate that at all. But whereas if he had something that somebody else would want but it's not for him, um, then like it's interesting. So like I'm looking for anything that says like it's one way or the other. um, but of course, because of brotherly love, Jimmy helps him look at porn to see what he might be into. Because for all we know at this point, where he's into either Thai lady boys or big black guys, he just has no experience because he's a kid that's being surrounded by social expectation when he doesn't match up with any of it, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just dude's got to find himself in life, and the brother helps out. I like the brother character the way he's written because his brother's like, I'm gonna help you out the same way that I would help you out if you were into girls. Let's look at some porn. And he tries to pull up porn, and like they get a computer virus, which actually ends up being a really funny running gag type thing, especially when you lose the laptop that you're supposed to be keeping people from seeing. That's always a fun bit. There's a really big yo-yo joke where they're just opening and closing the damn thing, and I don't know. The writing tickles me for this. I'm just I want to see where it goes. Switch over to our murder mystery segments. Elementary Murder at Doomsday Bunker, which of itself is not super interesting, even if I did see 10 Cloverfield Lane this weekend, so it kind of meets up with that. But this bunker happens to be a fraud. It's not well made or anything like that. But like it really pales, like because you look at it and you're like, okay, so it had to be somebody that's involved with everything going on, and it's like it's they only give you a set amount of characters, so it's like, well, it's one of these guys, and you whittle it down, and it's like it feels very inobvious that it's certain people, so you're like, well, it must be that guy. um, and depending upon how close you're paying attention and how close and what all you're guessing on, I actually I wouldn't mind watching these shows and doing like a bingo game, of being like, okay, here's evidence. Who thinks that who did this part of it? And then like maybe you do like you earn points based on how many of the mini bets you win. Like that would actually be funny, or be fun rather. But the more interesting part is that the autistic lady from a few episodes back, where they did the remote control car that went awry. Apparently Sherlock starts dating her, which I didn't see coming. But I like her in several different ways. I love her as a character. She's a hot lady. She's as far as I'm concerned, a great personality. Like, but she is atypical, so like, she's extremely interesting in that regard. But like, I hate to think of people as just atypical. She's a person, and Sherlock is seeing that with atypical being an interest point, um, and he, being the socially inconsiderate person that he is, goes the extra effort to be considerate, which is the exact reason why she dumps her, which is an excellent point to bring up. There's actually like a lot of awareness going on here because these people, whether or not you consider them to have disabilities, uh, are real people. They deserve the right to do whatever they do when you're not looking at them. They're not just there for your curiosity. They're people. They have lives outside of whatever interaction you have with them, and they usually are dealing with things on there. And the spectrum is another place other than like trying to get around without a leg, but it's the same thing. So he expresses that he's also different, and that's why he was trying to be so considerate, so that he didn't come off poorly. And of course, it's this fun controversy of like, well, I'm supposed to do these things because that's what's expected, but those are exactly the things that do. It's called irony. That's the word. Um, but I love her so much because she's so practical and everything that she's just like, we should probably have sex now. And I love it. So, and he's so flustered. It's so good to see people that are overly capable, like taking off their game. Like I'm always a big fan of the underdog in comics or heroes or anything, and really like I like seeing people who are not underdogs taken down a peg, and that, and I can sympathize because I would probably be in the similar pants there. Over on Grimm, this was kind of a throwaway episode as far as I was concerned. Like they used it to set up a couple things, but the murder mystery plot was really just bullshit. There's some things with Myers and Eve going on, but they're really minor. I don't even remember what they all are. The murder thing was a crazed werewolf, a bloop bot, if you will. Apparently, there's lycanthropia or whatever, where it's dementia and what's it called? Voguing. It's not the word, is it? Where they shift and shifting put together, so she runs around not knowing what she's doing essentially. And it was really kind of a throwaway murder thing because it's like, well, it's him or it's her, and that's what it is. You can't make noise like that and then like lay down so that I can't pet you and then keep making noise or try to run away. You have to come over so I can pet you, and if you're on camera you're all cute and fluffy and I can tell everybody that I hate you and we're gonna make a hat out of you. Yes, we are. Playing with my cat. Sorry, audio listeners. Oh God, claws. Okay, that was my nipple. Oh jeez. Okay, so I should probably not do that on camera. Yeah, you can go away now, fluffy monster. I'm not bleeding, am I? Okay. So yeah, so the plot's pushed forward a little bit with Adeline and a little bit with Renard, and we're really seeing like that's the direction we're gonna go with it. Or that like we're gonna proceed with those avenues, and we're gonna see an actual move coming up to get Dahlia. I can't remember the kid's name, but get their kid back. So we're gonna see this happen in an episode or two here. Over on Supernatural, there's a whole discussion about how the episode's a throwaway episode because they don't have leads on Inara, I think that's her name, and they don't have a way to go with it, so they're killing time essentially. They're like, well, we're gonna work a case because that's what we do. And Dean's kind of like at this mindset that like, no, we're world savers now. We don't do the little stuff. It's that whole concept that you get mad like when you play a video game and you're like, they're still having me go round up their chickens. But I have this reputation of saving the world, and like chickens still need to get round up. It's just the thing of it. But these guys are not that. They're normal guys that get through extraordinary stuff. Whereas, like, a video game, typically you're actually ramped up mechanically. But the interesting thing about this was that they go against a Soul Stealer that Bobby and Rufus went against. And so they do the whole episode mirrored, where essentially Bobby and Rufus have their own supernatural show. And then, like, almost scene by scene, they match them. So they only had to film half an episode with each group and then just play them on top of each other. Not on top of each other, but like alternating scenes. Let's see. iZombie. This was super interesting because for once the brains actually came in useful. I actually wish they had rationed him out a little bit longer to keep Liv smarter longer. So I'm not saying Liv's not smart. I'm not saying Liv's not a doctor, but this was a biologist brain that actually found somewhat obvious ways to improve the bloody zombie cure, so that we've got another prototype on hand. And with Blaine being recently turned into a zombie, he's super worried about his mortality again for whatever reason. Because I guess because he died already, and he's got a scar to remind himself. Um, so like he's trying to he's trying to hide the utopium. He's trying to take care of the rest of his guys. He made living wills. Like really like kind of morose, really. Like took a lot of fun out of Blaine's character. The Adam Monroe character, I've referred to him as that for most of the show. So we're really gonna have to see whether or not that cure works soon. And then Major, of course, is possibly going to be under effects here soon. So if Major goes zombie all of a sudden, then we'll know better. But I think what's going to happen is that he'll get killed and then turn into a zombie. It seems to be how that works once you've been cured, if you don't like spontaneously burst into one. And we don't know yet. That's the fun part, is that like not only do we, the audience, not know, but the characters in the show have no idea. Um, oh man. Let's see. Um, Oh yeah, and Major goes to put Zane on ice. Of course, he has to go through Blaine now, and so Blaine tells him to put Zane down. I think that's the character's name, but it's the guy that Liv's banging, um, and she doesn't trust him now either. So did I not save the oops? She doesn't trust him right now either. So like I don't know if she's going to be concerned if he goes missing. It'll be interesting, or maybe she's going to independently look for Zay. She can find out that Major and Blaine are working together, and it's all going to be horrible. 11/22/63 down the rabbit hole. Still got to watch. May have two for you next week, along with Lucifer and Supergirl. I feel really bad that I've like three in a row right there that I've got to watch. But I don't, because I'm going to watch them and I'm going to enjoy them because they're good shows. I'm really enjoying those shows in general. As much as I don't like the time period or time travel in general, the way it's written usually, I'm thoroughly intrigued by Down the Rabbit Hole. Lucifer's interesting. It's more the rules of the world. It's like the more we figure out that, like that's where I'm interested in the show more than anything. And I kind of want to see the detective get some. I don't care. Well, no, I don't want Detective Douche involved. I want Detective Decker to bang somebody who's not a sleazebag. Um, and then good for her. Over on the Flash. Okay, here's the thing with me and the Flash. Like I don't knock the show, but I'm not like a Flash fan. I'm not super into it. I'm more of an Arrow guy because he doesn't have powers. He's just getting by on skill and some luck. And then in this version, a lot of teamwork. Whereas the Flash, he wins because he's fast. And occasionally he has things that like upset that a little bit, and he has to work past it. Especially with Zoom, which is what makes Zoom an interesting character, is that like, oh, well, what if you weren't the fastest man alive? So he becomes interesting in that respect. This speedster is interesting to me because Trajectory, that's her name, right? Yeah. Uh, this is Psychosis. Like I want her to have her own show. It was way too fast. It was too good to have it be a one-note joke. I want it back. I'm going to kill you, you fluffy thing. Just come up here and be nice, and I'll pet you. Stop trying to run away and be a jerk. So, like, I just and spoilers, I guess, because she's gone by the end of the episode, and it leads them to clues on Zoom, and then they get more clues from Cisco that he's actually Jay, uh, which makes me question again what was Jay? Like, was Jay the Flash, and then he developed a formula on his own, which turned him into Zoom, and then who was the Jay that came over without speed powers? Was he a clone? Was he a twin brother? I want answers, and we'll get them. We'll get them eventually. But again, I like Trajectory enough. I love that she had split personality about it. It was fantastic. They're lying to Caitlin, like just barefaced crazy, and the fact that she jacked herself up with like multiple shots of Speed 9 or Velocity 9. That's what it was. It is a sexy name for a drug. And just think if that got out on the market, like Marvel has like MGH, like so you can get superpowers in pill form for a temporary amount of time. Of course, there's all the psycho drugs in the DC universe. Imagine if Velocity 9 hit the streets. How crazy that would be. Because apparently, like Dr. Snow got the formula right. It makes you a super fast speedster. Because at this point, Flash isn't consistently the fastest he could possibly be, which is really weird. I'm hoping that we get to a point where he's at least fast enough where he's not worried anymore. Because the Flash that like I actually like is the Justice League Flash, where he's funny. Because why not? You know. Uh, I don't know. I just that's how I find him entertaining. That he's a quipmeister. And then of course over an Arrow, Cutter. I actually really like Cutter as a villain, if you will, because she starts out as like an anti-hero, but she kills, and then Oliver's over that, which I want. I want one of these shows because I liked Daredevil, uh, because he was okay putting them down and being done with it. Um, but like in the Netflix version, like he seems to be very not about that. In Arrow, he starts that way and then he recants and he becomes a better person. Blah blah blah. I want a Punisher series then, because it's the one character that they don't seem to want to stop from putting down bad guys. Um, and that's interesting because that's a sensible resolution. It's a sensible way to do it. I can empathize with that. Whereas, like, I'm gonna put you back in Arkham, and then you're gonna escape, and then I'm gonna be there ready to put you back. Like the whole thing Batman does is like really tiresome at points. Even if I like Batman a lot, which is why like the Green Arrow like makes sense that you have someone who is okay putting down people from time to time. Um, Now he's all a pansy about it. Hopefully, maybe he'll after maybe Felicity will drive him insane because she's being kind of a bitch right now. I agree with her stance. I'm actually Team Felicity there, but she is hurting Oliver like crazy, and if she keeps that up, then we might see a psychotic break in Oliver, and that would be fantastic because they had to like fake a wedding. They had to go through all the motions of their fantasy for years, or not years, but at least a year, and it's all tainted now. And then of course Damien Dark being on trial. Like, just give me that movie. Give me that movie where Damien Dark's in trial, and just have it all be the movie or the trial, and play it out like it's a real trial, like in real life. Um, I could be the OJ trial of the DC universe. Oi. So Once Upon a Time, I still gotta watch. Second Chance. I think we hit the season end here, so we probably won't talk about it next week. But oh my God, Pritchard, Duvall, and Alexa go in after Gracie to in Connor Graff's compound, if you will. Fantastic because it's just one hiccup after the next. Because these are as trained professionals and as smart and capable as they are, they're going against other people who are smart and capable and just crazy people when it comes down to it. Um, and I don't know what to say about it other than like there's failure all over the place. They muck it up. They do their best, I guess. But this is really a case where there was a couple things they could have done better, but a couple things where they just weren't good enough. I don't know what they could have done to be better, uh, or to be successful. Let's say that, because spoilers, they fail. They straight up fail to get Gracie back, and they give up Otto, which is horseshit. When it comes down to it, um, and the only reason like anything's happy at all is because of Deus Ex Otto. Otto has a change of heart, kills him and Connor, and has Arthur land the plane. Um, then Arthur reaches out to Mary and kills himself, which is a dick move on Arthur and Otto's part. Like Arthur was almost a smart AI. Have him put himself back at Looking Glass, do some good contributions, but AI Otto shows up, so maybe that was the plan all along for him to replace Arthur. So Mary has to, Mary and he can be together in some form where Mary doesn't hate him anymore, because that was a huge deal for Otto, just Mary, and he couldn't fit in a life where she was happy and dealing with other people on a regular basis, so he didn't. That's really what it comes down to, is that he really felt like there is no way for this, and then he found a resolution. Um, oi, just mess, mess, and mess. And on top of that, the cloning process for resurrection has a rampancy issue. And if you're familiar with Halo, the AIs in there have a thing built in called rampancy, where they slowly start to go insane and fragment, and it's to keep them from living forever, essentially. Uh, I don't like that idea at all. It's like I'd much rather it be. I don't know. I don't have a better solution, but like it actually makes sense why they do it. And the clones, like I don't know why. Like it seemed like a very arbitrary thing to throw in, but there's an aggression problem. And Albert Lin, possibly because he was such an early prototype, uh, exhibits that. So we've got corroboration right there. Um, Theoretically, it'll hit Alexa before it hits Pritchard, but Pritchard's been doing a pretty healthy amount of violence in general, so we don't know. But they set it up for a good thing for season 3, where it's Mary and she has the job of investigating this rampancy. We'll have Alexa and Pritchard on hand, who are living together, which is kind of funny and kind of not, because I'm pretty sure he and Alexa are doing it. But they're sharing a tank now because they figured out how to make that happen. Um, which to me is really crazy, because it seems like the tank is filled with nanobots that are specifically encoded to deal with a certain genetic structure, and trying to change that code on the fly seems rather dangerous. Um, but the point, I think, is that it won't work, not that it will work incorrectly. Um, ooh. Um, so yeah, so it's been such an interesting show. It's definitely one of these shows that I'm pretty sure is like designed for people like me who like the idea of possibly impossible, possibly plausible technology, and adding the murder mystery point in there. It's fantastic. Stitchers, of course. Ugh, oi, loving this. And apparently, I made some mistakes about the end of season 1. I think the last episode is actually a dream that happens inside of Cameron's head. I think when she stitches into him, being that he's alive, there's some different things that happen. And so some of the things I thought were happening that I was happy about, even because I think like they had some shared moments, actually turned out to be all in his head. And so the beginning of season 2 is the end of the second to last episode from season 1, where he's dead, and then they managed to revive him somehow. Still unclear on that one. Maybe it's because of his heart. But Cameron comes back with a new vigor for life, and he's all cocky and reckless about shit, and she's experiencing emotions now because, and the theory being that she stitched into a live person and it killed her emotions. Stitching into a live person may have revitalized them. I don't know what to do with that. It's just what it is. Not sure. Um, but so we're seeing her deal with emotions that she doesn't typically deal with, and we're seeing Cameron act differently. So it is really like a whole new show. Um, but I'm liking Kirsten with some emotions, and we're finally starting to see her actualize that she has feelings for Cameron one way or the other. Um, then there's a whole thing about stitching into the overboss because Maggie's boss was killed, and they do that, and then they're researching things, uh, even shaking their NSA details that are guarding them. And but his head's all fucked up, so they can't get all the pictures right. And then stumbling across things, they find Ed Clark's body. So that'll be the next episode, stitching into Ed Clark finally after a whole season, because I think it was the second episode of the first season where we were supposed to do it, and we got delayed with Drug Girl or whatever. So, Shadowhunters. Oh my God, such bullshit. Okay, so the sisters on a tribunal, and then we've got the Inquisitor there. It's a bullshit trial. Everybody knows it. The warlock that likes the one guy is called in to be a defender because he understands contracts, etc., etc. Um, um, and then yeah, sorry, I'm really having a blank of what's happening next. The point is that they call it the trial is bullshit. The Inquisitor admits that the trial is bullshit, and then puts an ultimatum down about getting the cup back from the girl. I can't remember her name at this juncture. Uh, who is, I think her and Jace are being considered traitors, which is fucked up because they're the ones coordinating a move against Valentine to actually get Jocelyn back, um, take out Valentine, and actually get somewhere with everything. So, but we do get to see the cup at work, which I liked. I thought that was cool. Um, but oh yes, the best part of the entire series so far was you made out with your sister. Um, because Jason and her got a little hot and heavy there, and it turns out that Valentine claims to be both their dads. I'm hoping that by different mothers, so at least there's that little bit of thing there that maybe they'll try to like save grace with it. But now it's gonna be super awkward, and but Vampire Boy still has the hots for her, and he's excited that Jace is her brother. Instead of concentrating on that she might be traumatized, so he's a dick too. I don't like him either. Girl needs to find some new guys to get down with. Actually, if she got with the sister, I'd be okay with that. She seems to be the most um, honorable's not the word I'm looking for, but the character that's the most good or pure or uh, what is the word? I don't know. There's some word that means not so bad, uh, comparable in comparison when you're talking about characters. Redeemable. That's the word. Um, and she's like actively trying to do stuff all over the place, and she's not super racist like all the other shadow hunters. So like the sister, who I can't remember her name, I feel bad about that honestly. Uh, she's probably my favorite character out of the whole thing. Let's see. Oh, okay. I don't know why this happens, but I saw an advertisement for The Catch, so I watched the first episode because that's all there is. Um, and they shoved a lot into this first episode because they wanted to set up the whole premise. But I don't know where they take it from here because the pilot kind of is the premise. This private investigator, a master private investigator, if you will, uh, is after Mr. X, and it turns out that it's her fiance, who's been conning her for years at this point to get access to the company. I'm not spoiling anything. That's literally the premise for the show. And now she has to chase down her ex fiance. Then she doesn't know who he is or anything like that. So they're continuing this cat and mouse game for the episode, but she has so little to go on because he's a ghost. The only thing information they have is her experience with him, and like they don't even have proper pictures of him left because everything that they left, his head's turned away from the camera. Weird shit like that. Like you would think that you'd be like, well, I'm gonna have some pictures of your damn face, whether it's on her phone or whatever. But of course, there's a cleaner that comes in to wipe everything down, or wipe the drives and everything. So maybe he just left just enough to leave some ambiguity. So I'm really interested to see where this goes. This will be neat. Over on Erased, the show is officially over, but I'm watching on Crunchyroll for free. Um, so I'm a week behind. Hopefully by this Saturday, I'll be able to finish it up, and then I think Fem Service is actually back on starting this Saturday as well, and they're going to talk about it because Erase is a crazy show that's been affecting their lives. But the whole thing was Satoru wakes up from a coma, and he's claiming memory loss, which I think is bullshit. I think he's just being like, well, I shouldn't remember anything from these timelines that don't exist, so I'm going to pretend that I don't. But the fucking killer professor guy comes back. I have no idea why he would have the balls to do it, or anything. I don't know why he comes back. Like, and so there's a confrontation on the roof where he goes, "I remember everything," but he's in a wheelchair too. So it's like I'm really expecting the killer to try to like throw him off the roof or whatever. I don't understand why we're here at this point in the story. The week that he wakes up, the killer happens to be back in town. Um, I don't know. Okay, so on the catch-up list, I found a show. I don't even know how I saw this show existed. I really hate finding new shows that I like sometimes. It's really a bizarre feeling, but that's how I feel. So it's essentially a lawyer that's having hallucinations, and the show markets it as if they're messages from God. So it kind of reminds me of The Voices, but it's like there's some singer, like not Frank Sinatra, but Neil Diamond, I think. And then like you gotta have faith, faith, faith. He just starts hearing music, and he's following around. He's a successful, competent lawyer. So we're seeing him like do a lot of change of heart types things. So in theory, he's growing as a person, as a character, from being a shitbag lawyer working for evil corporate firm, and going forward with it. So I'm curious to see where this goes. There's 2 seasons of it out and available, and I've only gotten through the first episode. So as I have time, I'm going to use it as a filler. But I've got to catch up on a couple other things. I need to go back to YouTube and catch up on some stuff there. It's been a while. But I miss it, so I'm going to. And that, of course, brings us to Daredevil Season 2. What? Yeah, I was very upset that this even existed because we're not through the original 4 that they pitched. The first one was Daredevil, and then we hit Jessica Jones. We got there fairly quick, I thought, and Jessica Jones was amazing. It's actually a lot better than Daredevil, if we're going to be honest about things. It's just the facts of it. And then, of course, I had Luke Cage, which is one of my favorite characters, because the unbreakable skin power set is fantastic. And of course, he's just a big jacked guy too. So it's neat that like the girl that he ends up around or getting with is a girl that can like knock him around, and it's super juxtaposition. It's enjoyable as hell. But I like Luke Cage as a character. He's got good methodology. He's got good personality. It's how it is. So. Oh yeah, we haven't done Luke Cage's series, and we haven't done Iron Fist. So at this point, I'm concerned when the timeline lines up, because it's no longer going to be, well, watch the first season of these shows. It's going to be, well, watch Daredevil, then watch Jessica Jones season one, and then watch Daredevil season two. And there's going to be this weird chronology that's built out there, that's going to match how the movies came out now, because in in theory, you don't really need that chronology to do it, as long as you watch a certain set of movies before Avengers, and then you watch another set of movies before Age of Ultron. You'll be fine. But um, the way that we go about it for the series is end up matching something like that. And then you take in Marvel's Agents of Shield too, and that's got its own chronology that lines up with the movies. Um, and it's actually going to end up mirroring events in New York. Actually, not really. It's the correlation is actually going to be Agents of Shield to the movie universe, and the movie universe back to the Defenders, all the street level heroes that we're seeing on Netflix. Um, but anyways, Daredevil's good. It's good. Um, it's really good. It's not Jessica Jones good. I'll be honest. As much as I like Daredevil, he's one of my favorite one of my characters from Marvel that I really like. I'm not gonna say one of my favorites because it's I don't think it's true anymore. But I used to like that he wasn't afraid to get his hands dirty and actually like kill villains and put them down. But we see that more out of the Punisher than anything. That's really what the first story arc is that like Matt trying to be this saint of a vigilante, and go up against this mystery guy who comes into town that's being nicknamed the Punisher. And like as soon as I figure out like it's the Punisher, it's like, oh, that's why he's so good. But he's not necessarily like able to put him down right away, because I thought it was Bullseye. I was like, there's no way he's missing this much if it's Bullseye. Um, and I'm sure we'll see Bullseye in season three at this point. I don't think they can put it off. I think when the Kingpin comes back, he might contract Bullseye, and that might be part of what's going on there. And we'll see a mockery of the original movie with Ben Affleck. And bring Colin Farrell back as Bullseye anytime you want. That would be fantastic because he was good. I think he could still do it. I don't think he's too old yet. But the first arc, the first half of Daredevil season two, is all about the Punisher. It's about the Punisher. It's about Karen actually trying to be on the Punisher's side somewhat, and find the good in him. And like, so there's this beautiful underlying story of like what it is to be a good person and what it is to be redeemable, and like, is it in Foggy? Is it in the Night Nurse? Is it in Murdoch? Is it in Punisher? Is it in even Karen? Like, there's several points where like I think we're about to get like backstory on Karen, where it turns out she used to be a junkie whore, and she's killed some people once upon a time. Like, there's several moments where it's just that dramatic. It's like, what are we doing? Because I think she's just that good an actress. She spent all that time on True Blood, and I think she built some skill there, because she came in as a new face, a new actress there, as far as I know. And I think she definitely built some skills with the dramatic. And I like that we're not pretending she's a redhead anymore, even though it looked good on her. There's just so many things I like about her and her role in this, because if you take Karen Page out of Daredevil, it falls apart. She's really a keystone. Foggy too, and that's part of the point. It's actually another underlining plot that's going on, is the dynamics between the three of them making Murdoch and Nelson. So if you take one away, they run into trouble, and typically that's Matt running out. So, oh my God, it's so neat to see them explore that explicitly, and it's super interesting. We're seeing that all over the place. Karen's actually getting better as an investigative reporter. I think she replaces Ben Urich's role, because that was in the first season. I think Ben was very active for the Daredevil in that fashion. And between her and the police detective that we run across, that role kind of gets picked up. But let's see. So Okay, so after the Punisher, and I binged that and I stopped. I actually had a real hard time once Elektra shows up because she's the first thing that interrupts that arc, because that arc keeps going past the just Punisher arc, and we'd start overlapping with the Elektra arc, which is actually a really small arc at first, and then it turns out it's actually part of the arc for the Hand, which, if you don't know, is a league of zombie ninjas essentially, which I don't like that they changed the Hand from what I know, but I don't know enough. I know enough to know that I don't know enough. That's what I know. But of course, Stick comes back, because I think he's in the first season. But he comes back because Elektra's back, and there's a whole thing going on there. And of course, the Hand is after everyone because the Hand's a bunch of dicks. They just love to cause chaos and disappear into the night. But my understanding of the Hand is that they bring people back from the dead. It's part of the initiation of being in the Hand, is that you are killed and brainwashed essentially, and then you become a initiate. And if you survive long enough, you work your way up in the ranks, and that's how you rank. So the stronger you are, and the longer you've lived, the higher rank you are, and the more in charge you are. But the Hand has directives. You will do these things. The Hand has standing missions that it has to complete at any point. Um, you see aspects of that throughout the whole thing. The the thing that I don't like is they changed the Hand to be a league of ninjas that are mastery of bodily self. So they still breathe, and they just have suppressed heartbeats. So essentially, they've trained themselves to keep their heartbeats steady, and low enough that Matt can't hear them, because his sonic hearing normally can hear pulses. But he just gets silence off them, so he has to listen to like the sword, and then like later on their breath, which I just thought was bullshit. It's like, no, they're zombies. It's the whole point. And then there's actually in the comics a point where they start magically disappearing when they die. So not only are they a bunch of asshole ninjas that show up in mass, by the way, they I don't know if they teleport away, but they magically disappear when they die. So if you run them through, or if they break their own neck, because they do that, they disappear in like a puff of green smoke. Um, and I wanted that. I really wanted to see that on the show. And okay, and spoilers. So if you haven't seen it, definitely go watch it. But don't listen to this next part because it's a super secret spoiler. Spoilers. Elektra's in a resurrection chamber at the end of the show. So of course they're going to proceed with the storyline where Elektra is resurrected and becomes leader of the Hand. And in the comics, she takes it to a totally different place and redirects the Hand's initiatives. So we could see that coming up pretty fast here. Um, okay, on the future watch list, Powers. I have got a bug up my ass to go watch this. The thing that keeps getting me about this is the PlayStation Plus network. Uh, if I have to do it, I'm gonna like do it on Jen's account or something, because she's the only one that I know that really loves Sony that much. But I'm gonna talk to her about if she'd be open to that. Because all I want to do is watch the thing, and maybe if I can get her to split it with me, it'll be worth it. Um, so poop on that. 12 Monkeys, of course, Finding Carter. Constantine, I'm going to go back eventually. And you know what? I've got to put on here, because I'm an idiot and I forgot about it. Pretty Little Liars, because I only watched up to the point where they go to the future. That's not true. Where like one of them becomes a teacher or something. And then Switched at Birth. I don't care what you say; those are both excellent shows. And I don't care if they're on ABC Family or they're girly shows or what. I love them, and I'm gonna go get caught up on eventually. But of course, I ran across The Family and How to Get Away with Murder. Now that I have Netflix, I can watch that one. So that may come up sooner than later, because my impression was I was given is that one's actually very short. And of course, Game of Thrones comes back at the end of the month. Uh, it is an extreme goal to try to get caught up on these shows and silliness before Game of Thrones starts, but I don't think it's going to happen. Not only because I keep adding shows to my weekly watch, but some of them disappeared and were on weird hiatuses for everything, but because I'm trying to get caught up on too much. I think it's just a fact of it. It's going to take me a little bit to get through Eli Stone, even though they're little 20-minute shows. Powers is fairly short comparatively. I think it's only 8 episodes, but they're hour-long episodes, so that should be fine. It's these other ones that I don't know enough about, and then I only have like half a season of Pretty Little Liars to get through, and maybe a full season of Switched at Birth. So that could actually, well, it's long seasons for those two shows. So it's probably 12 episodes of Pretty Little Liars, and then probably 12 to 24 episodes of Switched at Birth. Um, yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. Of course, Game of Thrones is going to come out and be watching it on a weekly basis, so not so much worried about that. But yeah, I'm gonna go watch me some shows, get caught up. If I decide that I'm a crazy person, I'll do a point 0.5 for tomorrow. Because at this point, I'm feeling like I was silly for not watching those things and then doing this. But who knows? But if you like what you hear, great. Talk to me about it at Kamurai25 on Twitters. Yell at me. Tell me I've got a sexy voice or you hate me. Whatever you feel like doing, just get that off your chest. Um, but until you see me next time, I am Kamurai. Have a nice day. That's not on the mark at all. If you want to see anything else we're up to, go ahead and click the annotations and they'll take you to our other channels. Thanks for watching.